The first sign that something was wrong came from a little girl holding her father's hand. It was Saturday morning at Miller's Market, the kind of neighborhood grocery store where people still greeted each other by name. 8-year-old Emma skipped beside her father, Michael, as they pushed their cart through the produce section. "Dad, can we get strawberries?" Michael smiled. "Only if they're on sale." Emma rolled her eyes. "You always say that." "And somehow we always end up buying them," she laughed. For a moment, Michael forgot how exhausted he was. For the past 3 years, he had been raising Emma alone after losing his wife unexpectedly. Every day was a balancing act between work, parenting, and simply keeping life moving forward. He wasn't perfect, but he never stopped showing up for his daughter. As they entered the cereal aisle, Michael noticed an older employee struggling with a heavy box. "Need a hand?" The employee smiled. "Actually, yes." Michael helped him lift it onto the shelf. "No problem, Frank." Emma grinned. "Dad helps everybody." Michael shrugged. "That's what people are supposed to do." Unfortunately, someone nearby saw something completely different. A woman standing at the end of the aisle watched the entire interaction. Her name was Denise, and in her mind, Michael wasn't helping. He was working. A few minutes later, Michael steadied a cardboard display that was about to fall over. That was all the proof Denise needed. She marched directly toward him. "Excuse me." Michael turned. "Yes?" "I've been looking for help for 20 minutes. Michael looked confused. "I'm sorry?" "You work here, don't you?" "No." "Don't lie to me." Michael sighed. "I'm just shopping with my daughter." Denise folded her arms. "I literally watched you helping employees because they needed help. That's not what customers do." Emma stepped closer to her father. Michael kept his voice calm. "Ma'am, I don't work here." "Then why are employees talking to you?" "Because I know some of them." Denise shook her head. "No, you're lying." Michael decided not to argue. "Have a good day." He turned and began pushing the cart away. Denise followed. "No, you don't get to walk away from me." An employee quickly approached. "Is everything okay?" Denise pointed at Michael. "This employee refuses to help me." The worker blinked. "He doesn't work here." "Stop covering for him." The employee looked completely confused. Michael simply took Emma's hand. "Come on, sweetheart." As they walked away, Denise pulled out her phone. At first, Michael ignored it. Then he heard her talking into the camera. "This man works here and refuses to help customers." Michael stopped. "Please don't record my daughter." Denise smiled. "Oh, now you're worried." Emma lowered her head. Michael stepped in front of her. "Record me if you want, but leave her out of it." "Did you hear that? He's threatening me now." "I didn't threaten you." "Yes, you did." "No, I asked you not to film a child." But Denise wasn't interested in the truth. She followed them through the store, recording everything. Every calm response became evidence. Every attempt to leave became guilt. Every word was twisted. By the time they reached checkout, Emma looked like she was about to cry. "Dad, can we go home?" Michael didn't hesitate. "Absolutely." He abandoned half the groceries and headed for the exit. As they walked out, Denise stood near the front doors, still recording. "This store should fire him immediately." A few minutes later, Michael buckled Emma into the back seat. "Dad," she asked softly, "did we do something wrong?" Michael looked at her through the mirror. "No, sweetheart. Some people just like being angry." Emma nodded. Michael started the car and drove away. To him, the incident was over. Just another unpleasant encounter with a stranger. But as Michael headed home, Denise sat alone in her car watching the videos she had recorded, and a dangerous idea was beginning to form. Denise sat in her car for nearly an hour, replaying the videos she had recorded. The more she watched them, the more convinced she became that she was right. Never mind the facts. Never mind the employee who had told her Michael didn't work there. Never mind the little girl who had clearly been frightened by the confrontation. In Denise's mind, she was the victim, and victims deserve justice. By the time she got home, she had already decided what she was going to do. She opened her social media accounts, trimmed the footage, and carefully removed every moment that made her look unreasonable. The employee saying Michael wasn't an employee? Gone. The part where she followed him through the store? Gone. The part where Michael calmly asked her not to film his daughter? Gone. What remained was a short clip showing an irritated man refusing to engage with a customer while a nervous little girl stood nearby. Then Denise added a caption. Rude employee refuses to help customers and becomes aggressive when questioned. Miller's Market should be ashamed. She hit post. Then she went to bed feeling proud of herself. The next morning, the video had exploded. Hundreds of comments, thousands of views. People who had never stepped foot inside Miller's Market were suddenly demanding answers. Fire him. Boycott the store. Unacceptable customer service. Someone identify this guy. As the day went on, the outrage grew. People shared the clip without context. Others added their own assumptions. Some claimed Michael had yelled at her. Others claimed he had threatened her. A few even invented details that never happened at all. By afternoon, the store's phone was ringing non-stop. Employees were being questioned by angry customers. Managers were trying to figure out what had happened. The staff who had witnessed the incident couldn't believe what they were seeing. The story online barely resembled reality, yet reality wasn't spreading. The edited version was. Meanwhile, Michael knew nothing about any of it. His focus remained exactly where it always was: work, home, and Emma. For several days, life continued normally, until Thursday afternoon. Michael was picking Emma up from school when one of the other parents approached him. The woman looked hesitant. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Were you involved in some kind of incident at Miller's Market?" Michael frowned. "What?" The woman pulled out her phone. Within seconds, Michael was staring at Denise's video. His stomach dropped. The footage had already accumulated tens of thousands of views. Comment after comment attacked him. People who had never met him were calling him rude, aggressive, arrogant, and worse. Michael watched for less than 30 seconds before closing the video, not because he was angry, because he was disappointed. Emma noticed the look on his face. "Dad?" "It's nothing, sweetheart." But it wasn't nothing. For the first time, he realized the situation hadn't ended when he left the store. It had only begun. Over the next few days, Denise continued feeding the fire. She posted updates, recorded new videos, encouraged followers to contact the store. Every post attracted more attention. Every update attracted more outrage. And every time the story seemed ready to fade away, Denise found a new way to keep it alive. Then something unexpected happened. Miller's Market announced a major community event, a public celebration, food vendors, live music, family activities, and most importantly, an announcement regarding the future ownership of the store. The event immediately became the talk of the town. For decades, Miller's Market had been one of the community's most beloved businesses. Rumors spread quickly. Some believed the store had been sold. Others believed it was closing. Nobody seemed to know the truth, not even Denise. But when she saw the announcement online, an idea entered her mind, a dangerous one. Thousands of people would be attending. Local news stations would be there. Community leaders would be present. If she showed up and publicly exposed the store for protecting Michael, she could make an even bigger statement than before. The attention alone would be enormous. So she made a plan. She would attend the event. She would confront management publicly. And she would finally force them to admit they had protected a bad employee. The entire week, Denise looked forward to it. What she didn't know was that the people organizing the event were looking forward to it for a very different reason. Because behind the scenes, a secret had been carefully protected. A secret almost nobody in town knew. A secret that would completely destroy the story Denise had spent weeks building. And when the day of the event finally arrived, everything she believed was about to come crashing down. The morning of the event arrived with perfect weather. Families filled the parking lot long before the celebration officially began. Children ran between booths, local musicians played near the entrance, and food vendors lined the property. The entire community seemed to be there. Denise arrived early. She wanted their front row position. If management tried to avoid her questions, she planned to make sure everyone heard them. As more people gathered near the stage, Denise noticed local reporters setting up cameras. That only increased her confidence. This was going to be the day she finally exposed the store. At least, that's what she believed. A few minutes later, the event host stepped onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today. The crowd applauded. As many of you know, we're here to celebrate an exciting new chapter for Miller's Market. The audience grew quiet. People leaned forward. The host smiled. For months, we've been preparing for a transition that will keep this store family-owned and community-focused for generations to come. Whispers spread through the crowd. Then the host continued. And now, I'd like to introduce the person who will be leading that future. Everyone turned toward the side of the stage. A man stepped into view. The moment Denise saw him, her heart nearly stopped. It was Michael, the same man she had spent weeks attacking online, the same father she had accused of being a rude employee, the same person she had tried to publicly embarrass. The crowd erupted into applause. Denise stood frozen. Her face lost all color. Michael walked confidently to the center of the stage and shook hands with the host. Then the host addressed the audience again. Many of you already know Michael. What many don't know is how much he's contributed behind the scenes over the years. More applause followed. The host smiled. When the previous owner decided to retire, there was only one person he trusted to carry the store's values into the future. Michael. Denise felt her stomach sink. Everything she had claimed online suddenly sounded ridiculous. But the surprises weren't over. The host invited several employees onto the stage. A longtime cashier stepped forward first. Her voice shook with emotion. 3 years ago, my husband lost his job. I was terrified we were going to lose our apartment. She looked toward Michael. He paid our rent for 2 months and never told anyone. The crowd gasped, then applauded. Next came a stock clerk. When my father passed away, I missed weeks of work. Michael made sure I still had a paycheck waiting for me. More applause. Another employee stepped forward, then another. Each one shared a story, acts of kindness, moments of generosity, things Michael had done without seeking recognition. The audience listened in silence. Many people were visibly emotional. Meanwhile, Denise felt smaller with every story she heard. The image she had created online was collapsing right in front of her. The rude employee, the arrogant man, the aggressive customer service nightmare. None of it matched the person standing on that stage. Then the host smiled and pointed toward the giant screen behind them. And if those stories weren't enough, we'd like to show everyone a few moments that represent who Michael really is. The screen flickered to life. Photos began loading. And within seconds, everything Denise had worked so hard to build was about to come crashing down. The giant screen behind the stage flickered to life. The first image appeared. Michael standing beside a youth baseball team, surrounded by smiling kids holding brand new equipment. The next photo showed him helping distribute food boxes during the holidays. Then another and another. Scholarship presentations, community fundraisers, food drives, charity events. Years of quiet acts of generosity filled the screen. The crowd watched in silence. Many people had never seen these photos before. Others remembered them immediately. The more images that appeared, the clearer the truth became. Michael wasn't just the future owner of Miller's Market. He was someone who had spent years investing in the people around him. Not for attention, not for recognition, because he genuinely cared. The audience erupted into applause. Some people stood, others wiped tears from their eyes. And that's when someone recognized Denise. A woman near the front whispered to her husband. He looked over. Then another person noticed, and another. Within moments, people throughout the crowd began realizing exactly who she was. The woman from the videos, the woman who had accused Michael, the woman who had spent weeks attacking his reputation online. Denise felt the attention immediately. The confidence she had arrived with completely vanished. She looked around and saw faces staring back at her. Not angry, not hateful, just disappointed. For the first time since this entire situation began, she understood how badly she had gotten it wrong. She slowly began backing away from the crowd, hoping she could leave unnoticed. Then Michael saw her. Their eyes met for a brief moment. The crowd noticed too. A wave of anticipation spread through the audience. People expected him to call her out, to expose her, to embarrass her the same way she had tried to embarrass him. After all, he finally had the microphone. He finally had the crowd. He finally had the truth. Instead, Michael stepped forward and raised a hand. The crowd grew quiet. "There's something I'd like to say before we finish today." The audience listened. Michael glanced toward Denise, then back at the crowd. "I think every person here has made a mistake at some point in their life." The audience remained silent. "We've all judged someone too quickly." A few people nodded. "We've all believed something before knowing the full story." More heads nodded. Michael paused. "And if we're being honest, most of us have probably wanted a second chance at one time or another." The crowd grew completely still. Then Michael smiled. "There are already enough angry people in the world." Denise lowered her eyes. "The best thing we can do is learn, grow, and move forward. No attack, no humiliation, no revenge, just grace." For several seconds, nobody moved. Then the entire crowd rose to its feet, a standing ovation. Not because Michael had won, but because he had chosen kindness when revenge would have been easier. The applause seemed endless. Denise felt tears forming in her eyes. The person she had spent weeks trying to destroy had just shown her more compassion than she deserved. Without saying a word, she quietly turned and walked away. No one followed her. No one needed to. The lesson had already been learned. Over the following weeks, life slowly returned to normal. Miller's Market entered a new chapter under Michael's leadership. Customers continued supporting the store. Employees remained fiercely loyal, and the community grew even stronger. One Saturday morning, Michael and Emma were unloading groceries in the kitchen. Emma placed a carton of strawberries on the counter and smiled. "Looks like they were on sale this time." Michael laughed. "Barely." Emma giggled. Then her expression became serious. "Dad?" "Yeah, sweetheart?" She thought for a moment. "Why weren't you mean back to her?" Michael leaned against the counter. "Because being right doesn't always mean being cruel." Emma listened carefully. Michael continued. "Anyone can be angry. Anyone can get even." He smiled. "But the strongest people decide who they want to be, even when someone gives them a reason not to." Emma thought about that for a moment. Then she smiled. "I think Mom would have liked that answer." For a brief second, Michael looked away. Then he nodded. "I think she would have too." The two shared a quiet smile before finishing the groceries together. And in that simple moment was a lesson many people spend their entire lives trying to learn. Character isn't revealed when life is easy. Character is revealed when you have every reason to strike back and choose not to. Real stories, real karma. Subscribe to LTL Karen Stories for more unforgettable stories every week.